Hey everyone, Corbin here, and today I have a fun video for you. We are gonna have the first practical application for everything we've learned so far. Today we are gonna see about Docker, port forwarding, and we are going to install a Hytale server on the Beelink device, here in Corbin's workshop. Before we start, I am Corbin from the future to tell you about the testing and results. I'm starting to get a cold, so I apologize for my voice. I tested the server made in this guide live with 3 other people. You can get the links to my stream and the point of view of 2 other players in the description so you can better assess the experience. Here's my evaluation. On screen, you now have the specs of the mini computer I used to host the server. It's the same I showed you in the first video. And it's pretty weak. It runs well as long as the players are in the same dimension, but spreading into different dimensions, like one player going to the temple for example, it's too much for it to handle. However, installing a performance mod noticeably improves performance. My bot has marked the time in which I install it. It will definitely work to play with my brother as I always do, but if you have more friends, get a more powerful device. The limiting factor is the CPU, specifically the number of threads. Mine can handle 4 threads, and the recommended is 8. That being said, this exact procedure shown in this guide will work on any device you choose that can have Arch Linux on it. I wish I could have afforded a better device, but I'm going through some rough times. And that's the cue to tell you that I have a Discord server where we can discuss the topics of this guide and anything Linux or gaming related. I also have a Ko-fi and a Patreon. If you help me, I can get better hardware and show you cooler things. It's more important than ever to know how to handle technology and be self-reliant. So help me, help you, help us all. I also have a Hytale creator code, like my name, Corbin. Consider using it if you purchase the game. Now, let's get to the guide. And we are back at the terminal. I already went through this process in my personal computer. I had to scout ahead and see if I was gonna find any issues, and I'm glad I did, because I did find a couple of issues, and we will address them as we move through the process. To begin, we need to log into the Beelink device. So we go for SSH, our custom port, username, and the IP address. We use the password for our key. And we are in. The first thing I'm gonna do is review the configuration of the firewall, because I have a very similar setup in my personal computer and I already had some trouble with it. So for this, nbeam/etsy/nftables. And the password is, what's my password here? There we go. Here. I use this chain forward with a default policy of dropping everything. This normally works if you don't have containers. But if you have containers, you need the computer to be able to forward the traffic to the container. So we are gonna get rid of this chain. And that's it. Also, we need to allow traffic to the port that the container is gonna use. I know already that the port is gonna be 5520. So I'm gonna add it already, and it is UDP, not TCP. So UDP, the port 5520, except with a comment that says allow Hytale. I think that's it. Now, I am going to now flush the rule set. Let's list it to check that it worked. Okay, it's empty. And now we are gonna reload the file. File /etc/env tables. We list it again. Okay, that's our firewall set. The next step is to set up Docker. We are gonna need the Docker packages. We need two. We need Docker and we need Docker Compose. So sudo pacman /s Docker and Docker Compose. Yes, please. And there we go. Now, Docker is a containerization engine. It's used to package applications into isolated containers that have in them all the dependencies and environment that they need to work properly. It's incredibly convenient. I consider it one of the most important technologies in recent times. It's amazing. I just love Docker. It's a little bit complicated to use, but we will see about it just now. Before actually running Docker, there's some configuration we have to do. Starting with the post-installation steps in the guide, I want to add my user to the Docker group because I don't like using sudo for running Docker. So, my username. Let's exit. Let's get in here again. Let's check that we are in the group. And there we go. Users wheel that is used for sudo and Docker now. What else? Logging. Yeah, logging I have already opened. This goes into the Docker configuration because by default, for some reason, the logs are unrestricted. They can keep growing and growing and growing until they use a massive amount of your drive. So this is going to limit it in size and number of files. Let's go. Etsy Docker. Huh. We don't have a Docker folder. Well, this didn't happen in my test. But let's see if there is a problem if we create it. Sudo. We have to do it with sudo so that it belongs to root. Sudo mkdir docker. Oh, are you kidding me? Alright. So we have the Docker folder. And here we are going to create nvim, it's daemon.json. Right? Daemon.json, yes. Here we are gonna put the login configuration. And I think that's all I needed from here. Yeah. And now the most important one is the compatibility with env tables, which is very recent. Up until recently, it was recommended to use IP tables instead. So I'm going to do this. And the firewall back. Alright, that seems good to me. We're gonna save it. Oh, are you kidding me? That's awful. Hold on. Forgot to use sudo. This is the one. And firewall. Alright. Now we can save it. Alright. So now we have this. I'm a little paranoid. So sudo nft flush rule set. And I'm gonna load it again. Slash tables. Let's list it. Okay, our firewall configuration is set. Docker configuration is allegedly set. Hopefully it's fine. So now I think Docker should be ready to run. Hopefully. For that, we are going to do systemctl start Docker. I think I need sudo for this. Status, and Docker is running. That looks good to me. All right. So now we will check our firewall configuration, and it should have changed. There we go. All of that is configuration that Docker adds so that it can function properly. That's why I wanted to flush everything before I installed Docker. And by the way, remember, if you are gonna make changes to your firewall configuration, you have to stop the Docker engine if it's running and start it again so that it can add its configuration to the firewall. All right. So now we need to try running this. There is a hello world image. This is a basic image that just tests that Docker is running properly. Docker run hello world. And there we go. The image is running, doing what it's supposed to do. We are good to go. When it comes to making images, Docker is an art. It's difficult to master, especially when it comes to optimization, and it takes quite some time to get really good at it. But for using images, it's a lot simpler. You just need to grasp the concepts of images and containers. Images are like templates that someone made that are used as the base for whatever project you are going to work with. And the containers are made from those images. So for example, now I am going to download the Hytale server image, and from that we are going to spawn containers. One container, but you can spawn more if you want. You can have several servers going at once. These concepts are going to become clearer as we go forward with it. Now, here is a lightning intro to Docker commands. You will be able to find a cheat sheet with this in the description. First, to do anything with Docker, the Docker service must be running. In systemd based distros, we use systemctl like we saw before. Status, start, stop, enable, disable, all of these work. Now, for usage. Docker base commands are global, so you can run them from anywhere in your system. The first command, docker run, we already saw this one. It builds a container from an image. It first checks if the image exists locally and builds the container from it. If not, it will search the Docker repo and download it for you. You can run it more than once, and each time it will create a new container. Like here, I have 2 node containers now. Next, Docker stop and Docker start. They take a container name instead of an image. They stop or start an already created container. Docker PS shows currently active containers. Now, to manage your assets, the syntax is Docker, an asset type, and the command. Asset type can be an image, container, or network. And the most useful commands are ls, rm, prune, and inspect. ls lists your images, containers, or networks. Containers are a special case in which it will list only active containers, like PS does. If you want to include inactive containers, you have to use the -a flag. rm removes an asset by ID or name. In case of using the ID, you don't even have to type the whole thing. The first few characters are enough if they are unique. Special case is for images, where you can only remove images that are not currently in use by a container. So remove the containers first. Prune will remove all stopped containers or unused images. And lastly, inspect. It will give you details on the asset, especially useful for running containers, to see things like the network name they are using or the IP address assigned to them. Now, about Docker Compose, that second package we installed. Docker Compose is like an expansion set, like Docker, Lord of Construction. It relies on a Docker Compose file, so these commands require you to run them in the folder where the file is, or point the command to it using the -f flag. Notice how in the file containers are referred to as services. This term will be used in the command. They all start with Docker Compose, and here are the most useful ones. First, up. It will read the recipe in the file and download images, construct containers, set up networks and volumes. Everything. It's like magic. Stop will stop all services in the file or the one you specify. And conversely, start will start all services that have been stopped or the one you specify. Down will tear down all containers, volumes, networks that were created. Basically, it's the opposite of up. Permanent volumes will stay though, so no information loss. The logs command will show you the logs of the given service. The -f flag will continue listening for logs instead of just printing the ones currently there. Attach will get you into the terminal for a given service, so you can run commands in it. You can get out of it without stopping the process by pressing Ctrl P followed by Ctrl Q. And those are all the commands you need to survive, at least for now. Let's get going. So first, let's go back to our home directory and let's make a Hytale folder. Let's get into it. Alright, now, here. We're going to be using this particular image. There are several images that are used for Hytale servers. And you will find all the relevant links in the description, of course. And the first thing we need is the Docker Compose file. There are several ways of making containers. The simple way is with a Docker file, and the better way is with Docker Compose. And when you use Docker Compose, the first thing you need is a Docker Compose file. It has to be named like that. Docker compose, hold on, the text file, docker compose.yaml. In case you aren't familiar with it, YAML is a data serialization format similar to JSON, but prettier. So there we have it, and we're just gonna paste what we found in the text. And really quickly, with Docker Compose, you can create several containers at once. We refer to them as services here. This one only has one, the Hytale container. Image is the base that we are going to be using to create this container, as I mentioned. In this case, it has the path to Hybros Hytale server, and after the colon is the version. You can choose a specific version. We're going to be using the latest. Environment is a section for variables that the application can use. By default, they give us this one, but there are a lot of variables we can use. Ports. I touched on the topic of ports briefly in the fourth video of this series, but in a little bit we are going to go in depth about ports. We are really gonna need this topic. Volumes. Volumes are folders, basically. What this section is doing here is binding one folder of your computer with one folder inside the container, because the containers are sealed. You cannot directly modify files in them. This gives us a window into the container. So this is gonna be a data folder that is in the current folder we are in, and it will be tied to the /data folder inside the container. TTY is the console basically, and this is related to that. And finally, the restart variable indicates if the container should start up again if it stops for any reason that wasn't you stopping it. So if the container breaks down or something for an error or whatever, it should get back up immediately. So we are gonna save the file as is. There we go. We have only this file. And by the way, since we have the container in auto restart, I'm gonna do the same with the Docker engine itself. systemctl status docker. Let me check that it is still running. Yes, it is. Okay. Now we are going to enable it, which is different. We can see that it says enabled now. And that means that when the server starts, it will immediately start the Docker engine. And since the container is in auto restart, it should boot up immediately as well. So whenever you shut down the server for whatever reason, when you turn it back on, the Docker engine should spawn immediately. All right. Well, I think we are ready for this. Let's take a look at any other potential instructions that we have here. This is the command we are going to use to actually build the container. And here are some sections that we might be interested in. We're going to see the quick start, the configuration, the mods, of course, and backups probably. All right, quick start. We have the speed, this, and instructions for the authentication that we're going to need to do. It's pretty good. So let's get started. Docker Compose, and let's hope that it works. Docker Compose up is the command to construct the containers from the Docker Compose file. And -d means detached mode. so that it will happen in the background. You are not gonna be stuck with it. Okay. Okay. Fingers crossed. Let's go. And it automatically constructs everything you need to have your server going. And that's it. That is it. Now let's check for the authentication. Okay. We need to watch the logs that this thing is spewing. Oh, I forgot. This is one of the problems that I stumbled within. It tries to create the data folder that I mentioned on your computer, but there is some problem with the users. Yeah, let's undo this mess. Compose down is to take everything down. All right. So let's see now. The data folder, I need to remove it entirely because if you see, it's owned by root and we don't want that. It has to be owned by the first user, the one with ID 1000. In fact, you can check that by, I think it's ID-U, your username, and you will see that my user is 1000. It's the first user. So keep that in mind. So now I'm going to do sudo rm rf, careful with this command, very careful with this command, data. Okay, data is gone. I saw in the troubleshooting section for this image, and they suggest that you change the ownership of the folder after the fact, but don't complicate yourself. Before you do the Docker Compose thing, just make the directory, and that's it. Make the directory prior to doing that, and now we can do it again. And we don't have to download again because the image is already on our system. So that was really quick, you see. So now let's check the logs again. Okay. I have the feeling that it is not downloading. Oh, I think I know what it is. Hold on. So I decided to restart the computer and Docker doesn't run anymore. Start Docker. We have this. So let's check what the journal is telling us. Normal. Here we start to see failed. Failed to determine if container could not create bridge network. This is important. IPv4 forwarding is disabled. What? That shouldn't be. Cctl net.ipv4.ip forward. It's 0 indeed. Huh. Let's change that. Sudo, of course. Hold on. Okay. Hey guys, Corbin from the future here, bringing you some arcane knowledge. Setting the parameter in this way works, but it will be reset on reboot. The permanent solution is in this page from the Red Hat documentation, which you can find linked in the description. Basically, you need to set it in a kernel parameter configuration file, which you can do as shown in step 5. Here, This is what you need to run on your terminal. You will need sudo privileges though. And now, back to the video. So, are you going to run now? Yes, it ran. Perfect. So, let's check our rule set for the firewall. Seems good to me. So, cd Hytale. Let's remove the data folder for safety. And let's make it again. And let's spin it up. Close Alt-D. Oh, there's problem with the neighbor, so let's bring everything down. Can we spin it up? Oh, whoa. Oh, hold on. It's working. It's finally working. Okay. So restarting actually worked. Hold on a second. Perfect. I made a mistake right now, but it's working finally. All right. I just needed to restart and check that variable. That was all. So bring it down, and I'm going to remove the folder again, and let's bring it up. But let's not forget detached, please. All right. Now let's check the logs, and there we have it. It's asking for authorization. Finally. So we are going to need to copy this code, open the verification site, enter it, approve. Oh my god, I need my login. Alright, device authorized. Perfect. Alright, so now what? It's downloading. Alright. But I think I needed another bit of authorization. Let me check. Server authentication. Now we are going to manually attach. And we are going to try the authentication. Oh wait, it is downloading. Let's wait for it to finish. Okay, now it is asking for authentication. Hold on. Is that correct? There it is. Now we're gonna log in. Okay, we have another authentication code. Proof. Device authorized. What else? And see if we can connect. Servers. Okay, these were my tests in local hosts. Can I remove them? Well, doesn't matter. Let's add a server. And it's gonna be Beelink. And the connection address is 178. Excuse me? Oh, there it is. And here we are. The server is running on the Beelink. And that's it. Our server is ready to play locally. But that's not enough, right? We want to invite our friends from all over the world. So that's what's coming next. Not so fast, Corbent. There is configuration to be done. Sorry, guys. The Docker compose file. So, configuration is done through environment variables. The configuration section of the Docker image instructions gives you a whole lot of variables that you can use to configure things. Example, an interesting one would be Hytale universe path. So let's copy this one and paste it here. And you can place the folder to point to store the universe. This is useful to handle multiple universes at once. If you want to play one with some group of people and another one with a different group of people, then you don't have to use the default folder. So let's use the folder corb. And that should be enough for that. Now, you can also configure game server variables here. And the way that's done is you need to create variables with the values. For example, here you can have the examples for name and player. The names on these ones don't really matter. You can name them whatever you want. But the recommended convention is to use CFG underscore and the name of the variable as shown in the config file. So I'm gonna name it Corbin server and I'm going to set max player 8. And I'm gonna create another one, CFG for password. I want my server to have a password. And we are just ASD as the password, just to test. And I think that's all on this file. But now you need to edit the server configuration file. So let's go to nvim data server config.json. And here we are. And you need to replace the values of these things with placeholders with the names of those variables. Placeholders are done with $, curly brackets, and inside you type CFG server name, I think we called it. And we had one for password as well. It was CFG password. And players, of course. Oh, I'm making a mistake. All of these need to be between quotes. CFG max players. This is how I did, right? Yes. Alright, that should be good enough. We save, and it should be ready. Let's try to bring it up and see if it will ask for our password. So see the logs. And it's ready. And it asks us for a password, and we will type ASD, and we're getting in. There we go. Alright, that's it for configuration. And now, let's get into mods. This image can handle mod updating automatically for you, which is very convenient. But let's see. First step, we need an API key. And let's copy this link and let's use a different browser. And let's log into the console in CurseForge, which requires you to log in with Google, unfortunately. So keep that in mind. Yes. Let's choose a name for your organization. I don't have an organization, I am a single man. Wildclaw Initiative, let's call it. You can always change it. Okay, that's fine. API keys, this is what we are looking for. Oh, we already have it here. So it was that easy, huh? I have never done this before. We are doing it for the first time here on the video. So we're gonna copy that, I guess. Oh well, hold on. Let's hold on. So this is how our Docker Compose should look like now. You have the image, auto download, this is normal. This is what we need. This is to add the actual mods. Let's go back into the file. It's in environment, right? Yes. Okay. We're gonna change them, of course. Well, let's see. So to handle the API key, the API key should not be placed directly into the file because obviously it's an important piece of information. So we use the secret system. The secret system is for sensitive information that shouldn't be displayed in plain text, shouldn't be transferred to the network, all that crap. So there's a rather convoluted way of handling it. So this is the variable that will handle it. Let's see, we can use spaces. Let's space this a little bit. All right. So this, and we need to declare it here. That's a different variable though. Oh no. Put back. Put that back. Come on. Secrets. Okay. ports, volumes, this is all the same. And we have a secret section at the very end. Alright. So, the idea is that we need to create that folder. Does it say anything specific? Yeah, so it's dot, we create a secrets folder and we create the file. So I'm gonna copy this. Let's save this and let's create the secrets folder. And let's edit a file inside. That will have my API key. So I'm gonna copy it, paste it, and I'm gonna save. And that's probably it. Now, give me a second while I do a little bit of research about what mods do I want in this server. Alright, now I have some mods I like. So all you have to do is coming to the page from the mods and see the project ID, copy it. Let's go back into the compose file. Paste it there. Let's remove the sample ones. Okay, so books and papers. Better map. Better mod list. And 100 lanterns. Yes, these 4. And better mod list we are gonna use to test is /mod list command. Alright. So we're gonna save this. Hey guys, Corbin from the future here with one more intermission to show you this mod, Nitrado Performance Saver. This can help quite a bit with weak host devices like mine to perform decently with Hytale. You know the deal, you copy the project ID, you paste it here in your CurseForge mods list, and I have one more piece of advice for you. You can add comments here with IDs and names so that you keep track of which mod is which and you don't get confused. You cannot put the comments straight here in the middle of the list, it's gonna screw it up. YAML doesn't like comments in the middle of lists. So I added them here. And that's it, back to video. And probably the mods section is done. Will it work is the question. One way to find out, let's check. Oh, by the way, I think I didn't stop the thing. Hold on. Docker compose down. Yeah, that's correct. Compose up -d. Let's see if there's anything interesting in the logs. Oh yes, it's processing the mods. And it's done. Alright, let's try it. Servers. Let's add it again because I removed all the nonsense. 2818 Beelink. /mod list. And here we go, we have better map, better mod list, books and papers, and 100 lanterns. And the server is going to make sure that they are always updated. It's that simple. Alright. So, we can bring this down again, I guess. And that's it. Now, backups. It really depends. Do you need automatic backups? Can you backup manually? Let's enable them just for the lols, I guess. But backups every hour, it seems like a lot to me. When I played with a Minecraft server, I don't remember what the company was, but the backups were every 24 hours. Like, this is probably excessive, or it depends on you, but if you have an SSD, you probably don't want it writing your map every hour. That seems excessive. But in any case, the way we would handle it then is, this is all the same as usual, but we have an extra volume for backups. And so remember that we should make the directory mkdir backups. And let's open the configuration and add the new volume. And we are gonna add these variables about backups in the environment. Hold on. Yes. Oh, that was weird. What happened here? There it is. That's more like it. Okay, so enable backups, and they're gonna go in /backups. But the time, let's make it at least 3 hours. Okay, let's try to do this and enter backups. We don't have anything yet. I assume that. Oh wait, hold on. So, do we have anything here? Well, I imagine that it doesn't do anything at the beginning, only when the timer expires. So, do that. That's very advanced. Maybe I will show you how to do that in another video. Yeah, that's it. It should be working. So that's the rest of the configuration. Now we can go into seeing how we can allow friends all over the world to join our world. Ports. What are they? Ports are abstract access points for communication. All communications need an address and a port. When you initiate communication, it's fairly simple, because your messages are sent with a sender address. So whoever gets it will know where to send a response back. But when you are expecting to receive the first contact, you have to organize your delivery. Here are some quick facts about ports. Ports are identified with a number that ranges from 0 to 65,535. We have seen this briefly when I use SSH. By default it works on port 22, but I changed it to 13,333 because I felt like it. Ports under the number 1024 are called well-known ports. They have specific purposes and you should not use them for custom things. Ports about that number are fair game for the most part, but if you are going to work on a large-scale serious project, maybe you would like to check the Internet Assigned Numbers Authority website, where you can see what ports are have common registered uses. Sorry, I can't even speak today. Now, let's get to work. Configuring ports is a matter of identifying the different layers that make your system and match the numbers to form a path. First, we have Hytale itself. By default, it works on port 5520. You can change this changing an environment variable. And one reason to change it could be if you want to run multiple servers on the same computer. Then you would need a different port for each one. The second layer is the container. Hytale is inside Docker, which has its own set of ports. You don't have to worry about this part though. When an app runs, it requests to open whatever ports it's configured to use. The third layer is the computer in which the container resides, which again has its own set of ports. Here you need to make a connection, and Docker makes it super easy, barely an inconvenience. It's done with this line here in the Docker compose file. It takes a port on the computer, a colon, and a port on the container. It's completely fine to use different ports, by the way. You can connect port 6000 on the PC and port 5000 on the container if you wish, but it might get confusing. You are better off just using the same number. This one says everything that arrives at the computer at port 5520 must be sent to the container at port 5520. Finally, you have the home network, all PCs connected to the router, which is the only thing that the world can see, and the single entry point for all communications. When a client reaches your router, it needs to know which computer should receive the information and on which port. That's why we need to configure this path. You have to access your router and do the port forwarding, which is simply telling the router that all communications that arrive at a port of your choosing, I will keep using 5520, should be sent to a specified computer at port 5520. And that's it. The path is now complete. You can see it like this. The router is your airport, and its ports are the gates at which planes arrive. Port forwarding tells it all shipments that arrive at gate 5520 should be sent to warehouse 5520. So a truck gathers the cargo and goes there. Once delivered, the Docker instruction says all packages that arrive at garage 5520 should go to office 5520. So a mailman takes the package and goes to the office. And there he says, I bring a package for employee 5520. And employee 5520, aka Hytale, finally gets it. It's a chain of delivery. In our project, we already took care of the first 3 links in the chain. Only the port forwarding at the router remains. Let's see how it's done. So, port forwarding. How do we actually do that? Well, the first step is to know where your gateway is, and you can do that by using the command IPR. So this will list your different devices, your IP address on each one, and here the first one is the gateway. So I know that this one here is my connection device, so this is the gateway that I am interested in. I'm gonna copy that and paste it in the browser. Now that's the login screen for my router. And so you type your password, you log in. Sorry for the awkward cuts, but these pages are completely full of information and I need to be careful. So, all of the routers look different. This is how mine looks like. But by seeing mine, you should be able to figure out yours. In my case, port forwarding is under application. And this is the form you have to fill. It's pretty straightforward. Remember, you are trying to connect one point that takes information to one point in your computer. So, the one port is the port you expect to receive information on. It can be whatever you want, but I told you, if you keep them all the same, it's a lot easier. There is no reason to pick different ports. So if the container is using 5520 and your computer as well, set the same for the router. It has two fields because you can declare a range of ports, but Hytale only needs one, so we're going with that. LAN port is the port in your computer or device, so it's gonna be the same. And finally, I get to choose the client, which is gonna be the Beelink device. And that's it. Well, remember that Hytale uses UDP, not TCP. And for description, I'm going to just say Hytale server. And it should appear here at the bottom any moment now. There it is. And that's enough. We have successfully port forwarded for Hytale. Now let's finish the process with some professional touches. We are gonna use a domain name. Now, for domains, I use GoDaddy.com. And it's pretty straightforward. You come here to this search bar and you choose what would you like your domain to be. Like, for example, Epic Gamers with a Z. We search. So you can get .com or you can get .net, .org, XYZ, shop, whichever top level domain you feel like getting, like Bees for example. And it has a price, and all you have to do is add it to your cart, go to the top here, and you see 1 year sure. Well, this whether you want security or not, and you just continue to cart. You pay for it like any online shop, and you should have it instantly. And hold on, let me clear this. I'm not gonna do that. Okay. Now, word of caution. These sites for domain handlers are very complex, or at least this one is very complex. So you're gonna have to get used to how to navigate it. In my case, for GoDaddy, once you have your domain, you go here to the top right, you go to account settings, and to the left, you choose my products. And here at the bottom, I have 2 domains. This is the one I purchased today explicitly for the purpose of my educational endeavors, and you click here in DNS. And what you need to do is to add a new record. Add the record of type A And here you're gonna type whatever your IP address is. And here in name, you're gonna choose a word in particular that you want to use before the second level domain to identify your server. I'm gonna call it Hytale. And you save. And that's it. I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm gonna cancel. Yes, cancel. Because I already have it here. And the thing is that when you make changes to this, it may take a while to take effect. Maybe an hour or so. So I don't want to do this right now. I don't have the time for it. But that's the process. It's very simple. And once you have this registered and it's taking effect, you can go to the game. Make sure that your server is running, of course. Yes, server is running. Let's go to the game. Servers, I'm gonna add a new one. Add server. We're gonna call it Hytale. Wait, name is here. So the address, instead of the IP address, you can use the domain. So I named it hytale.9ktutor.xyz. And we can join. Oh. Silly me. I inverted these letters. Now let's go. And here we are. We can check the mod list to verify that it is the same server. And that's it. You have a server that has a domain name, so it looks cool when you share it. And that's all there is to it. Now, another word of caution. Your IP address, at least mine, changes all the time. So this record is gonna become invalid at some point. Maybe very soon. So you need to dynamically adjust this value. And for that, we are gonna use the API. Well, the dynamic DNS plan went down the toilet. I just learned that GoDaddy has restricted the API usage to clients with at least 10 domains. So that will have to happen another day with a different solution. I will add a 7B video to the list to include something about that. In the meantime, don't forget to update your A register if your IP changes, or contact your ISP to get a fixed address, but that's more expensive. To close, this is my message. It's more important than ever to have tech skills. In a time where government wants to control everything you see, say, or do, being self-reliant and avoiding commercial solutions that are out of your control is incredibly valuable. The fight for freedom is real. And remember that not everyone has to be a tech expert. One tech guy per group of friends can make all the difference. It's a cool skill to have. Be the tech guy among your friends. Be the one that keeps a communication channel open and secure. And the one that can host a game server to have fun. I hope I can entice you to give it a try. In the meantime, enjoy your server. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.